How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to continue my reviews of all the James Bond movies, and today I'm reviewing You Only Live Twice. And if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I am trying to get to 150 subscribers, and as of filming this video I need 9 more, so if you subscribe it'd really help me out and I'd really appreciate it. Now with that out of the way, let's get into this review. You Only Live Twice was directed by Lewis Gilbert and is the 5th Bond movie starring Sean Connery as James Bond. This was at one point going to be his last one, but then after a while he came back to do Diamonds Are Forever, and then later on he would come back again to do the unofficial Bond movie Never Say Never Again. But this one, his 5th Bond film, I find to be one of the more divisive Bond films in the franchise among the fans. I know a lot of people who actually really love this one, and there's a lot of people who aren't so big on it, and for a long time I was more on the side, like I like it but don't love it. But on this rewatch I liked it a lot more than I did before, and I don't know why I didn't like it as much before, because there's just things that's like should have like clicked with me before, but I guess they didn't, and now they did. And one thing that I really love about this movie is when you watch some of the Bond films, some of them have these certain stories that just feel like they're classic Bond stories. And this one has one of those stories where Spectre is interfering with some of the like space missions between the US and Russia, where they're stealing their spacecraft when they're orbiting the Earth, and it's making the US and Russia point fingers at each other and will start a war. So that seems like something that what Spectre has been established to be, that seems like something they would do. So that was great. And then it leads to like the British think there's something going on with that in Japan, so they send James Bond there. And at the start he fakes his death, which is why it's called You Only Live Twice, so that his, I guess, enemies would think he's dead and not be looking for him or paying attention to him, so he could go and investigate without being noticed. So that story just felt like a classic Bond story to me. And it's got a great location in Japan. There's some very nice settings that they have. And Sean Connery, you could tell he was a little bit more bored in this one, or just checked out. Like, I've heard some stuff that was going on behind the scenes, like he just had enough of the role. It was interfering with his personal life in certain ways, and I think he wasn't getting along with the main producer, and whenever that producer would come on set he would just stop acting. So there's certainly some times where you can notice he just doesn't look as interested, but there are still times when he's, I think, giving a good performance. And overall I wasn't distracted by him not seeming to be caring as much. I thought he was still good overall, still pretty good. There's some great action scenes in this one. The final action scene, the big climatic battle, is great. There's a great layer that the villain is in. It's in this like volcano. The set for that was incredible. The way they built it, you gotta give, credit to the people who built those sets. They did a great job, and it's just a great battle sequence with Bond, these sort of like ninjas from Japan that he's working with against the Spectre people. It was really great, very entertaining. There's some other good action scenes throughout the entire movie, and there's just classic Bond moments of him just going to these, company that he's investigating undercover and whatnot. It's classic Bond stuff in this. And I do have a couple of issues with this movie. The big one being the part sort of towards the second half of the movie where they pretty much disguise James Bond as a Japanese man. He has like surgery to look Japanese. Yeah, in this era that we're living in now, that's kind of cringy to watch. I'm sure they didn't really think about it like that back in the 60s, but now it's like it doesn't sit right. And thankfully it's not in the movie a whole lot, him being Japanese or pretending to be. It's not in it for that long, which is good. But also watching that, so like I felt like they didn't really need to do that, because the purpose was to have him sort of not be found, because I think people are starting to suspect that James Bond was alive, so it was to help him not be found. But even after he had that stuff done to him to look Japanese, they were still finding him and knew who he was. So kind of seemed kind of pointless, but I just felt like they didn't have to go that far to try and hide him. But anyway, and then the other thing that was kind of disappointing for me is this was the first movie where we see Blofeld, who is sort of supposed to be like the big bad to James Bond. He's the head of Spectre, and we got hints of him in some of the previous movies like From Russia with Love and Thunderball. You never see his face, you just hear his voice, and you see the white fluffy cat that he has, which is back in this one. And in this movie, Blofeld's played by Donald Pleasance, and I wasn't a fan of that casting choice. Just the previous movies, when you've heard Blofeld, he has a very deep voice, kind of menacing. Donald Pleasance's voice isn't very deep and not very menacing, and I just found some of his line deliveries kind of over the top and just not great, so that was a bit of a letdown after building up this character, and it just sort of... and he's not in it very much either, which I guess from not liking him too much is alright, but if it was a great Blofeld, you want to see more of him. But other than that, those were my big problems. There's a few other things that are minor, like usually when they're doing car chases, they have like a screen going on in the background because they're not actually filming outside when it's focused on the main actors. And I just found some of the screens like that were more noticeable in this movie at times. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I just thought I was noticing it more, and that's just a nitpick, but I just thought I'd mention it. But overall, I think it's a fantastic story for a Bond movie. It feels like a classic Bond story. And despite the villain not being great, I thought what the villains were doing were great. I love what they did with Bond, having him fake his death, go to Japan, other than the part where he pretends to be Japanese. I thought it was great. I love this setting, love a lot of the action pieces. The characters for the most part were really good. The sort of main guy he was working with went by the name of Tiger. I really liked him. The Bond women were fine in this. Sort of the main Bond woman isn't in it a whole lot. She comes in at the end and isn't very memorable. The one that is memorable, I don't think is supposed to be the main one because she dies towards the end before the other one comes in. So there's that, but a lot of fun scenes, like that one with Little Nelly, which is like a helicopter thing. That was a lot of fun. Honestly, this is one, while I think Thunderbolt for me is still a little bit better, this is one where I don't understand the division between fans as much for this one as I do with Thunderball. But that's just me. I'm going to give You Only Live Twice an 80%. I think it is a very good Bond film. And let me know what you guys think. Are you on the side that really likes this one, or do you think it's not so great? Whichever side you're on, let me know why you feel that way. And stay tuned for some of my upcoming reviews. I'm planning on doing a Chip and Dale review later on this week as well. I got 2 episodes left of Season 2 of Stranger Things, so that will be my next review. I hope to have that up either tomorrow or Thursday, but that'll be coming soon. And I'm also going to do the 1967 Casino Royale. It's an unofficial Bond film, but because I'm doing a watch through of all the Bond films and I've seen all 25 official ones, plus Never Say Never Again, I thought might as well watch this one. So see what that's like. So stay tuned for those. Until my next review, take care everybody.